The Galactic Council's monitoring station on Proxima Centauri III registered the silence first. Senior observer Kelfmar had been cataloging Earth's transmissions for 23 cycles, a punishment assignment for political indiscretions back home. His days consisted of filtering, categorizing, and reporting on the endless stream of human broadcasts, a task that had driven 3 predecessors to request reassignment. "Something's wrong," he announced, tapping the suddenly flat readings. The human signals, they'd stopped. His supervisor, an ancient Vrel whose translucent skin revealed 3 pulsing hearts, glided across the room. "All of them? Impossible. Check your equipment." Diagnostics confirmed what seemed unthinkable. Earth's ceaseless electromagnetic chatter had vanished. Not diminished or disrupted, completely ceased. The abrupt silence triggered emergency protocols across 17 monitoring stations throughout the sector. On the trading hub of New Rigel, merchants specializing in human entertainment broadcasts faced riots as subscribers demanded refunds for suddenly terminated services. Human soap operas, particularly The Restless and Beautiful, had developed cult followings across 3 spiral arms. The mysterious final, interrupted mid-sentence during a wedding scene, spawned conspiracy theories that would persist for decades. The diplomatic cruiser Celestial Harmony altered course immediately, accelerating toward Earth. Ambassador Givalia, representing the collective of aligned worlds, had been en route to renew trade agreements with human authorities. Her mission now took on unprecedented urgency. "We must assume catastrophic circumstances," she dictated to her staff. "Prepare contingency scenarios ranging from natural disaster to technological collapse to deliberate communications embargo." Meanwhile, in the secretive chambers of the High Command, General Drask viewed the development with naked suspicion. The crusty old warrior had survived 3 galactic conflicts by assuming the worst of every situation. "Too clean," he growled, studying the signal analysis. No civilization goes dark simultaneously across an entire planet without meticulous planning. This was coordinated. His adjutant, young and optimistic, offered alternatives. Perhaps their sun generated an electromagnetic pulse, or some experiment gone wrong. "Nonsense," Drask dismissed. "The humans are planning something. They've always been unpredictable. That makes them dangerous." Across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. The contemplative Solarians welcomed the respite from human noise, scheduling additional meditation cycles to appreciate the newfound tranquility. The opportunistic Mercantile Guild quickly established betting pools on the cause, with self-annihilation drawing the heaviest wagers. The silence stretched from hours to days. 17 automated probes launched toward Earth reported normal planetary readings. No radiation spikes. No atmospheric changes, no signs of warfare or natural disaster. Orbital satellites remained functional, continuing to relay weather data and positioning signals, but carrying no human communications. On the 5th day, the first genuine fear emerged. The Xenoarchaeological Institute published findings from ancient records regarding civilizations that had mysteriously gone silent throughout galactic history. Their conclusions sent ripples of dread through informed circles. In 67 documented cases of species-wide communication cessation, none had ever resumed transmission. By the 7th day, the Galactic Council could no longer ignore the implications. The emergency session was scheduled, representatives summoned from across known space. The humans, noisy, crude, endlessly chattering humans, had somehow, impossibly, collectively fallen silent. And in the dark spaces between stars, something ancient stirred, confused by the sudden absence of sounds that had guided its approach for decades. The hunting patterns that had served it for millennia required adjustment. The feast it had anticipated now required additional effort to locate. The silence of Earth was not merely an absence of noise. It was the first move in a game for survival. The council chamber's elegant architecture, designed to foster calm deliberation, now amplified the cacophony of panic. Representatives spoke over one another as holographic displays showed the spreading economic impact of Earth's silence. Order. demanded High Counselor Vexolia, her crystalline exoskeleton flashing warning colors. "We cannot address this crisis through shouting." The Ardaxi ambassador adjusted his ceremonial headdress, the movement deliberately slow to convey disdain. "This crisis is manufactured. Humans are theatrical by nature. They crave attention. 67 trading houses have declared insolvency this cycle," countered the Mercantile Guild representative, her eye stalks quivering with distress. Human raw materials form the basis of pharmaceutical production across 3 sectors. The medical consequences alone. "Perhaps they ascended," interrupted the luminous collective's emissary, his form shifting between gaseous states. "Many species reach a developmental threshold where physical communication becomes unnecessary." Laughter rippled through the chamber. The notion of humans achieving transcendence seemed absurd to most. The Xavian military attaché silenced the mockery with his next report. "Our deep space monitoring network detected something troubling," he announced, manipulating controls to display a star chart. These 3 stellar bodies experienced momentary occlusion simultaneously, suggesting an object of impossible mass moving at impossible speed. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the assembly. "Are we suggesting some external force is responsible for Earth's silence?" asked Counselor Vexolia. "The evidence remains inconclusive," replied the Xavian, "but the statistical probability of natural occlusion across these specific stars is approximately 1 in 7 trillion. In the gallery, scientific advisor Dr. Krell leaned toward his assistant. "The humans have a saying. Correlation is not causation." "They have another saying," his assistant whispered back. "Where there's smoke, there's fire." The proceedings took an unexpected turn when the Jexidian ambassador, representing a species renowned for their psychic sensitivity, requested emergency speaking privileges. "Something hunts," she announced, her translator struggling to convey concepts beyond conventional language. "We have felt disturbances in the collective consciousness. Ancient patterns stirring, hunger awakening." The chamber erupted again, countless voices demanding explanation. The Jexidian's silver eyes swept across the assembly before settling on Admiral Kestak. "You have seen it," she stated simply. The Admiral's facial membranes flushed deep purple, a sign of extreme distress in his species. With reluctance, he activated his personal data terminal. The following footage was captured by patrol cruiser Vigilant Observer near the Orion Spur, he announced. "It has been classified at the highest security level." The holographic display showed standard space until something moved across the starfield. Not a ship or natural phenomenon, but a distortion, as if space itself were being digested. Where it passed, stars dimmed momentarily. The footage ended with the patrol cruiser's emergency beacon activating, then going silent. "The crew?" asked someone. "Found alive," the Admiral replied quietly, "physically unharmed but empty. Medical assessment indicates complete neural evacuation, as if their consciousness was extracted while leaving autonomic functions intact." A cold silence gripped the chamber. "The humans knew," whispered the Jexidian ambassador. "They detected this presence and chose collective silence as protection." "Preposterous," snapped the Ardaxi representative. "Humans lack such foresight." The debate might have continued indefinitely if not for the priority alert that flashed across every console simultaneously. The Proxima Centauri monitoring station, the first to detect Earth's silence, had itself gone completely dark, and its last transmission contained just 3 words, THEYRE, following US. The Vigilant Dawn slipped into Earth orbit using stealth protocols that even humans would have struggled to detect. Ambassador Exanfor studied the blue-green planet through the observation dome, 4 of his 6 eyes focusing on different continents simultaneously. "No visible damage," he noted. "Power grids functioning across all major population centers." Dr. Ilzix, the team's xenobiologist, examined atmospheric readings. Pollution levels decreasing rapidly. Vehicle emissions down 97%. Industrial output minimal. Yet the automated systems continue, added Security Officer Krev, her protective exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's lights, as if programmed to maintain appearances. The ship's sensors detected no unusual radiation, no signs of biological warfare, no evidence of conventional conflict. Earth appeared normal in every measurable way, except for the complete absence of human communications and movement. Their landing craft touched down in Central Park, deploying sensor arrays to scan for threats before the team disembarked. The spring day was eerily perfect. Birds sang, squirrels darted between trees, and a gentle breeze stirred the new leaves. New York City surrounded them, its iconic skyline intact but silent. "Impossible," whispered cultural specialist Jorax, a Melikai empath whose species could detect emotional residue. 8 million humans inhabited this city. Their emotional imprint should linger for decades. I sense nothing. They split into 3 teams to investigate different areas. Xanfor led his group toward Times Square, remembering the bustling center from his diplomatic visits. They found vehicles frozen in eternal gridlock, some with doors flung open as if occupants had fled mid-journey. "Look," pointed Technician Vex, indicating a coffee shop. Inside, cups remained half full on tables, meals partially eaten, a newspaper open to a crossword puzzle with 3 words completed, a child's backpack hanging from a chair. "No signs of panic," observed Krev, examining the scene. "No evidence of struggle or rapid evacuation." In a nearby apartment building, they found more of the same. Shower water still running in one unit, breakfast sizzling on a stove in another, now burned beyond recognition, a television playing a sports broadcast on repeat. "It's as if they simply dissolved," said Vex, running sensors over a couch where an impression remained in the cushions, but no biological residue. Jorax suddenly stiffened, antennae quivering. I felt something, faint but present, beneath us. They followed the empath's sensations to a subway entrance. The escalators still functioned, carrying them down into tunnels lit by emergency lighting. The sensation grew stronger as they descended deeper. There, Jorax pointed toward a maintenance door, with strange markings scratched into its surface. Inside, they discovered a small room that had been converted into some kind of command center. Maps covered the walls. Empty food containers suggested recent occupation. A sophisticated communication device, unlike any human technology they recognized, sat on a central table. "Someone was here," said Krev, examining fresh fingerprints on a console. "Recently." Danthor approached a wall where something had been written in haste. The message, scrawled in multiple human languages and universal mathematical notation, sent ice through his circulatory system. "They hunt by sound and thought. We chose silence. Run." As he traced the letters with a finger, every screen and electronic device in the room activated simultaneously. Emergency alert systems designed to warn of natural disasters now displayed the same message across every surface before electrical surges destroyed each device in succession. In the sudden darkness, Jorax gasped. "Something's watching us. Something. Hungry." The beam of Kreb's light caught movement in a corner, a shadow detaching itself from other shadows, moving with deliberate intelligence before slipping through a crack in the wall. "We need to return to the ship," Xanfor ordered. "Ambassador," Vex called, voice trembling. "The ship isn't responding to communications." The Pentagon's subterranean levels stretched deeper than any official record acknowledged. The alien team descended through 27 security checkpoints, each requiring increasingly complex bypassing techniques. Ambassador Xanfor marveled at the paranoia evident in the design. "Humans always did excel at secrecy," he remarked, watching Dr. Ilzek's override another biometric scanner. "A trait we previously attributed to primitive territorial instincts," replied Security Officer Krev. "Perhaps we misjudged their motivations." Level 49, unmarked on any building schematic, housed a research facility unlike anything they'd encountered in human installations before. The technology here appeared decades beyond what humans publicly displayed. "This contradicts all intelligence assessments," said Technician Vex, examining equipment that incorporated principles even their civilization had only recently mastered. Humans shouldn't possess quantum entanglement computing at this scale. The central chamber housed a massive spherical structure composed of overlapping energy fields. Within it, holographic representations of star systems rotated slowly, with certain regions highlighted in pulsing red. A moving shadow passed through these systems sequentially, like a predator following a hunting pattern. "They were tracking something," whispered Jorax, the Melokai empath. "Something that moves between stars." The facility's quantum computer remained operational despite the absence of human operators. Its security protocols initially locked them out until Xan4 recalled the phrase on a friendship bracelet given to him by a human diplomat years ago. The Latin motto, per aspera ad astra, through hardship to the stars. When entered, the system granted access to files marked Operation Blackout, the human contingency plan that had been developing in absolute secrecy for 27 years. "By the void," murmured Krev as the files opened. They knew. They've known for decades. The records revealed the truth. Humans had detected a mathematical pattern embedded in background radiation, a warning transmitted by a long-extinct civilization across time and space. The message, once decoded, described entities called the Harvesters, ancient predators that located intelligent life by tracking communication signals and thought patterns. These beings consumed consciousness itself, the organized electrical patterns of sentient thought, leaving bodies technically alive, but devoid of self-awareness, personality, or higher brain function. Embedded in the files were classified recordings. The team watched in horror as a captured harvester drone, a shifting mass of darkness with no fixed form, was studied in a containment facility. The recording showed the moment containment failed. The researchers' minds were visibly extracted, their bodies collapsing like empty suits while their consciousness manifested briefly as luminous energy before being absorbed by the entity. The human plan was comprehensive, noted Vex, scanning through project timelines. While maintaining normal communication patterns, they secretly developed consciousness-shielding technology, constructed massive underground habitats, and trained special forces in neural quieting techniques. Jorax's antennae suddenly stiffened. There's a temporal marker embedded in these files. A countdown. It completed its sequence 3 weeks ago. The exact moment Earth went silent. Xan4 realized. Further records revealed the most disturbing aspect of the human research. The harvesters didn't just consume minds. They absorbed knowledge, technology understanding, and cultural information. They learned from each civilization they devoured, becoming more sophisticated hunters with each feast. And the harvesters weren't interested in planets or resources, only in the unique neural patterns of sentient beings. Consciousness itself was their sustenance. Dr. Uzix, typically the most composed of the team, physically recoiled from a final notation in the research. Ambassador, according to these calculations, our galactic civilization's communication network, the continuous transmissions between thousands of worlds, has effectively created a beacon visible across intergalactic space. "We've been broadcasting our location," Krev whispered, "for millennia." A proximity alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Something had breached the outer security perimeter. Something that moved like shadow given form. The NORAD facility within Cheyenne Mountain had been designed to withstand nuclear bombardment. Now the alien team discovered it had been retrofitted for an entirely different kind of apocalypse. Ambassador Xan4 led his remaining team members through corridors lined with technology that defied classification. The walls themselves seemed to absorb sound and thought. Conversations became muted, and even telepathic communications between compatible species grew fuzzy. "Neural dampening fields," explained Dr. Uzix, analyzing readings from her scanner. "The architecture itself inhibits consciousness patterns." They had lost contact with half their team during their hasty evacuation from the Pentagon facility. The shadow entity had moved with impossible speed, cornering 3 members before the others could reach them. Their final communications had been mercifully brief. A moment of confusion, then silence. "We're being herded," observed Security Officer Krev, noting how emergency lighting activated only along certain pathways. "Something wants us to go deeper." The anomalies intensified as they proceeded. Shadows stretched against light gradients. Equipment activated unbidden, displaying data no one had requested. Most disturbing was the persistent sensation of being watched by countless invisible observers. In a chamber marked Quantum Communications Division, they discovered a device unlike any they had encountered. A crystalline structure suspended within nested magnetic fields, pulsing with energy that shifted through spectrums visible only to certain team members. "This isn't based on standard human technology," whispered Vex, circling the device cautiously. "The design principles incorporate elements from at least 7 different civilizations, including extinct ones. They've been studying the warning for decades," Tanfor replied, "learning from those who came before." Jorax approached the device, antennae extended. "It's active, broadcasting through channels outside normal spacetime." Before anyone could respond, the device pulsed brilliantly. A holographic interface materialized, simple enough for any species to operate. Hexan4 recognized the consideration in the design. Humans had created this interface knowing non-humans might someday use it. When activated, the quantum communicator established a connection instantaneously. The face that appeared belonged to a human male in his 5th decade, weathered, scared across one cheek, eyes revealing both intelligence and bone-deep weariness. "I'm Commander Jack Reeves, Blackout Protocol Executive Officer," he stated without preamble. "You shouldn't have come to Earth." Xan4 stepped forward. "Ambassador Xan4 representing the Galactic Council. We came seeking answers about Earth's silence. And now you've endangered yourselves and potentially your entire civilization," Reeves replied grimly. "Your ship in orbit is already gone. The crew's consciousness harvested." "How could you possibly know?" began Krev. "We maintain stealth observation platforms throughout the solar system," interrupted Reeves. "We watched it happen. The same fate awaits you unless you move immediately." He provided coordinates to a secure extraction point, explaining that transport vehicles with mural dampening technology would retrieve them. "Your thought patterns are broadcasting your location like beacons. The harvesters are already converging on your position." "You knew about these entities," said Xan4. "For how long?" 27 years, Reeves answered. "Long enough to prepare, but barely. When our deep space telescopes confirmed the harvesters had entered the solar system, we enacted the Blackout Protocol. 8 billion people relocated to shielded facilities within 72 hours. The facility's sensors suddenly blared warnings. Security screens showed corridor after corridor being plunged into darkness as something moved through the complex, something that consumed light itself. "They found you," Reeves said. "Move to the extraction point now. Follow emergency route Delta. The lights will guide you." As the connection terminated, the overhead lighting shifted to deep blue, creating a path toward the mountain's eastern exit. "Do we trust this human?" asked Krev. The distant sound of their remaining team members screaming in another section of the facility answered that question definitively. The extraction team arrived in vehicles unlike anything the aliens had seen before, matte black transport craft that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The human operators wore neural dampening helmets with no visible eye slits, navigating through means that baffled even Technician Vex. "Movement detected through vibration patterns," explained a soldier when Xan4 inquired. "We don't use vision. Thoughts related to visual processing create distinctive neural signatures that they can detect." The journey to humanity's primary bunker took 3 hours through a labyrinth of underground passages. Security checkpoints grew increasingly sophisticated, incorporating technologies from consciousness pattern disruptors to temporal distortion fields that made Jorax physically ill. The last barrier explained their escort at a massive vault door embedded in the mountain itself. Beyond this point, no thought escapes. The door, 30 meters thick and composed of materials even Dr. Elzex couldn't identify, open to reveal humanity's masterwork, a self-contained civilization built within the hollowed-out heart of Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone sits atop a supervolcano. Commander Reeves explained as he greeted them inside the first decontamination chamber. The geothermal energy powers our facilities, while the unique mineral composition helps shield cognitive emissions. The central cavern stretched beyond comprehension, 10 kilometers across and nearly as high, illuminated by artificial sunlight. Structures rose in concentric circles, housing millions of humans going about daily routines with disciplined quietude. Parks, schools, hydroponic farms, manufacturing centers, a complete society rebuilt underground. 10 million in this facility alone, said Reeves, noting their astonishment. We have 47 primary bunkers worldwide and hundreds of smaller outposts. Humanity hasn't been extinguished. We've simply gone silent. The command center offered a staggering view of both the underground city and, through advanced sensor arrays, the universe beyond Earth. Holographic displays tracked the harvesters' movements throughout the solar system and neighboring sectors. We detected the warning signal 27 years ago, Reeves continued, showing them archived data. It was embedded in cosmic background radiation, a message in mathematical code that took our best minds years to decipher. When we understood what was coming, we faced an impossible choice. Security Officer Krev studied the displays. Why not warn the galactic community? Would you have believed us? Reeves asked sharply. Humans, the cosmic upstarts, barely accepted into galactic society. Besides, mass panic would have only drawn them faster. Dr. Elzex examined medical readouts from human neural monitoring systems. Your consciousness shielding technology. It's remarkably advanced. Necessity drove innovation, explained Dr. Eleanor Martinez, the project's chief scientist. We appear brain-dead to their senses while remaining fully conscious. The difficulty was developing the technology without their detection. Every test potentially exposed us. Our deep space probes confirmed their approach 3 months ago, Reeves continued. We had already rehearsed the blackout protocol hundreds of times. When the moment came, we executed the evacuation in 72 hours. Every human on Earth, relocated and shielded. Ambassador Xanthor finally understood the horrifying truth. The Galactic Communication Network is a beacon, Reeves finished grimly. Every transmission, broadcast, and neural network spanning your civilization forms a banquet announcement that has been ringing across the cosmos for centuries. The harvesters were originally drawn to Earth because we were so noisy, but now they know there's a much larger feast waiting, whispered Jorax, antennae drooping in horror. We hoped our silence might confuse them long enough to develop weapons capable of fighting back, said Reeves. But your arrival has accelerated their understanding. They now know where to look next. A human technician approached urgently. Commander, we're detecting cognitive harvesting events in the Proxima Centauri system. Reeves looked at the alien delegation, his expression somber. The Council homeworlds will be next. The Galactic Council's emergency session had never faced such a crisis. Through secure quantum channels designed by humans to mimic natural cosmic background radiation, Commander Reeves and Ambassador Xanthor presented evidence that shattered millennia of complacency. The massive central chamber, designed to accommodate representatives from 17 major species and dozens of minor ones, had fallen into unprecedented silence as the final evidence was presented. Footage of the harvesters consuming the consciousness of an entire research outpost near Proxima Centauri. High Counselor Vexalia's crystalline exoskeleton had darkened to deep indigo, a sign of profound distress in her species. The implications are civilization ending. Yet the humans found a solution, noted Xanthor. Imperfect, but effective. The Ardaxi representative, who had dismissed human concerns throughout previous sessions, now spoke with uncharacteristic humility. How quickly can these neural dampening technologies be implemented across major population centers? Commander Reeves manipulated the holographic display to show implementation models. Our engineers have adapted designs for each major species' neurophysiology. Preliminary production could begin within days, but full deployment across all Council worlds would require months. "We don't have months," growled Admiral Kestak, displaying long-range sensor data. "The harvesting events are accelerating. Following established communication networks, they'll reach the Exevian homeworld within 14 standard cycles." The implication struck the assembly like a physical blow. The Exevian homeworld served as a central hub for communications throughout the galactic East Quadrant. Billions would be lost within hours. "We must implement an immediate communications blackout," declared the Melokai delegate. "Cease all neural net transmissions and quantum relays." "The economic disruption would be catastrophic," countered the Mercantile Guild representative. "Entire systems rely on continuous communication for life support coordination alone." The debate grew heated until Commander Reeves activated a secondary display, showcasing humanity's evacuation protocols. "We faced the same challenges," he explained. "Our solution was comprehensive but required sacrifice. Priority evacuation of neural high-output facilities, research centers, entertainment hubs, educational institutions, synchronized step-down of planetary communications, phased relocation to shielded habitats. The scale is unimaginable," whispered an aide to the Jexidian ambassador. "Trillions of sentient beings across thousands of worlds." "Yet the alternative is extinction," replied the ambassador. After 26 hours of continuous deliberation, the vote was taken. With a narrow margin reflecting the devastating choices ahead, the Council approved implementation of the Galactic Blackout Protocol. Throughout the chamber, communication devices were voluntarily deactivated, a symbolic gesture marking the beginning of a new era. Representatives who had relied on neural augmentation for translation and communication suddenly found themselves struggling with primitive verbal exchanges. "How long must we maintain silence?" asked the Solarian elder, her bioluminescent communication tendrils already dimming in compliance. "Until the harvesters move on, or until we can destroy them," answered Commander Reeves. "The human resistance has been developing weapons specifically designed to target their unique biology, technology based on information hidden in the ancient warning signal." As the council session concluded, an ancient Traxian philosopher who had witnessed 3 great galactic eras approached Axan 4 and Reeves. His voice, rarely heard in council proceedings, carried the weight of centuries. "Throughout recorded history, we considered ourselves the teachers," he said, gesturing toward Reeves. "The elder species who would guide younger races like humans toward enlightenment. Yet in our arrogance, we created a beacon for predators, while Earth's children developed the wisdom to go silent when monsters approach." His gaze swept the chamber as representatives prepared to return to their worlds with the most difficult orders in galactic history. "The universe has delivered a cruel lesson in humility," he concluded. "The students must now teach the masters how to survive." 6 months into the galactic blackout, the cosmos had fallen into an unnatural silence. Across 17 major civilizations, trillions of beings adapted to an existence without the neural networks and instantaneous communications they had relied upon for millennia. Within the Yellowstone Command Center, Commander Reeves studied holographic displays showing the Harvester's massive hive ships drifting confused above formerly vibrant population centers, finding only empty cities and silence where consciousness once flowed abundantly. "They're dispersing," noted Admiral Kestak, who had remained on Earth to coordinate the military response, "spreading thinner as they search wider." "Exactly as we predicted," replied Reeves. "They hunt by sensing patterns of organized thought. Without those patterns, they're blind, relying on random search patterns." The combined human-alien strike force had spent the blackout months preparing for this moment. 10,000 vessels, human stealth ships seamlessly integrated with modified alien battle cruisers, waited in staging areas throughout the galaxy. Each craft incorporated human dampening technology, appearing as dead space to the Harvester's senses. Dr. Eleanor Martinez approached with the final weapons systems report. The consciousness lure bombs are ready. When detonated, they'll broadcast synthetic thought patterns at intensities no natural being could generate, drawing the harvesters to specific coordinates, finished Xan 4, who had become Reeves' most trusted advisor, where we'll be waiting. The attack was coordinated through quantum entanglement communicators, technology that existed outside normal spacetime, undetectable to the harvesters. At precisely the same moment across 12 star systems, the lures activated. The response was immediate and dramatic. The harvesters, starving after months without consciousness to consume, converged on the lures with desperate hunger. As they concentrated their forces, the combined fleet emerged from hiding. The weapons they deployed, designed specifically to target the harvesters' unique biology, had been developed by humans decades before, based on information hidden in the ancient warning signal. Missiles carrying consciousness-disrupting payloads penetrated the massive shadow entities, breaking their cohesion from within. For the first time in their ancient existence, the harvesters experienced something unfamiliar: fear. The battle raged across multiple star systems simultaneously. Losses mounted on both sides. 3 entire battle groups were lost when a harvester mothership unexpectedly divided instead of dissolving under attack. The turning point came when Commander Reeves led a special operations team of humans and aliens in neural silent armor to infiltrate the central harvester high ship. Moving through corridors that defied conventional physics, they reached the core, a swirling vortex of consumed consciousness spanning millennia of harvested victims. "Now," ordered Reeves as his team planted the final lure bomb, a device containing the captured neural patterns of volunteer consciousness donors from 17 species, amplified 1,000-fold. The resulting detonation tore the mothership apart from within, releasing a shockwave of consciousness energy that rippled across spacetime. Throughout the galaxy, the harvesters' collective form destabilized, no longer able to maintain cohesion. In the aftermath, as galaxy-wide communications cautiously resumed using new secure protocols, humanity emerged from its self-imposed silence transformed. The species once dismissed as primitive upstarts had orchestrated the salvation of galactic civilization. Earth, now emerging from its underground shelters, became the headquarters for a new multi-species defense force. The Galactic Council established the Terra Vigilance Medal, awarded to those demonstrating exceptional foresight against extinction-level threats. On the newly constructed Memorial Plaza in Geneva, representatives from every species gathered to honor the billions lost across multiple civilizations. At its center stood a simple obelisk of black stone, bearing words in 17 languages. "In silence, we found our voice. In darkness, we became light." Beneath it, in smaller text, a simple human phrase that had become the credo of the new galactic age. Sometimes survival depends not on who speaks the loudest, but on whom knows when to hold their breath.